The laughter began the moment the human took his place beside the throne. Not loud enough to be called an insult, not soft enough to be mistaken for mercy. Just the cruelty of a court that believed elegance made every wound respectable. Caelan Ward stood in formal black at Princess Therys' right hand, so composed that the nobles decided he had finally been tamed. They called him Housebroken, a frontier predator taught to bow, a dangerous species made safe by silk and etiquette. They praised the princess for civilizing him, joked that humans only needed the right collar, and smiled because they thought the smile made them clever. Therys heard every word and kept her face cold. Caelan heard it too and gave them only silence, which was a mistake they would not survive for long. Some predators go quiet, not because they are afraid, but because they are choosing where the killing starts. Lord Seathvar arrived late enough to bend the room around him, huntmaster of the old houses, smiling like a man who had never doubted the world would make room for his appetites. He bowed to the princess and invoked the trial pursuit, an ancient law that let a rival claimant challenge whatever guardian stood nearest to a royal heir. Survive the hunt until dawn, and the heir's strength was affirmed, die in the dark, and weakness was proven before witnesses. The court drew one delighted breath when Seath leveled his spear at Caelan instead of Ceres, because now it was sport. Now the princess's pet would be driven through the moon forests while noble hunters proved that civilization had stripped the savage out of him. Therys rose. "He is under my protection," she said. But Seath only answered, "Then let your protection save him." The law speakers confirmed it, vile but valid. Caelan stepped forward before the princess could speak again and said, "I accept." She turned to him with panic. "You do not answer for yourself here." Caelan looked at her, only her, and said, "If I refuse, they keep pressing. If I run, they learn you can be reached through me. If I win, they learn manners." Seath laughed. The nobles laughed. And not one of them noticed that the human was not trying to be brave. Only practical, they wanted a performance. Humanity gave them procedure. The moon forests beyond the palace were made for noble entertainment. Silver-bark trees, black pools, drifting mist, and enough danger to make aristocrats feel adventurous. 7 royal hunters went in after Caelan, armored, masked, and carrying shock spears. While court drones fed the spectacle back to the palace, bets were placed, wine was poured, and the laughter returned. Because everyone knew how this story ended. A civilized human, cornered by beings bred for the chase. 10 minutes later, the rear hunter vanished. One flicker on the feed, one burst of static, and then nothing. The second found him hanging from a branch with his throat cut at the armor seam and his spear missing. The laughter faltered, the formation tightened, and panic entered the hunt where humans know how to use it. The third died when Caelan dropped from the canopy with the stolen weapon and gravity behind it. The fourth fired too soon and lit the fog bright blue, but by the time the energy faded, the human was behind him, one twist, one shattered neck seal. One body down in the roots, above the trees. Nobles leaned forward without blinking because the decorative creature in black had become something else entirely. Not wild, not frantic, but controlled. And control was more frightening than fury. Civilization is easy in a warm room. Real nature begins after the first body drops. The remaining hunters tried to regroup and discovered that human violence was rarely theatrical. It was method, stolen angles, broken lines, the quick conversion of terrain into advantage. Caelan moved through the forest like he had been waiting for it to stop pretending to be tame. False tracks in wet soil, stones thrown to pull attention. Roots turned into trip lines, dead ground made into kill lanes. He was not larger than them, not faster than their best. He simply understood the law of survival better than they did. The environment belongs to whoever uses it first. The 5th hunter lost a knee to a shock blade taken off the 4th. The 6th turned toward the scream and took a spear thrust under the arm plate. The 7th saw the pattern and tried to retreat, which was when the court, watching from above, understood the real humiliation. The royal hunter was running from the housebroken pet. Caelan ran him down in silence, caught the spear shaft barehanded, twisted until bone gave way, and drove the broken weapon up through chest plating. All 7 were dead before the second moon cleared the ridge. And in the palace gallery, Lord Seath stopped looking amused and started looking mortal. The court had mocked restraint, then learned what restraint was restraining. Dawn found the nobles gathered in silence. The palace doors opened, and Caelan walked in carrying all 7 shock spears across his back and in both hands as casually as a worker bringing tools home. There was blood on his throat and sleeves, some his, most not. But his expression was calm, almost bored, which frightened them more than rage would have. He crossed the floor, laid the spears at the foot of Princess Therys' throne one by one, then stepped back to her right side where he had stood the night before. Lord Seath rose with outrage painted over fear. This was not the spirit of the trial, he snapped. Caelan looked directly at him and said, "You sent hunters." I responded like something from my world, then Therys stood. And the uncertainty around her claim burned away in a single instant. Let the record show that Lord Seath Var called my sworn human housebroken, then loosed hunters into the dark to prove it. Let the same record show that the human returned, the hunters did not. Guards moved for Seath before he could protest, because power had shifted, and every noble in that chamber knew it. The lesson spread through the ascendancy before noon, whispered from court to warship to nursery. Never mistake stillness for safety. Never laugh at the human who stands beside a throne. Because the alien court had called him housebroken, and then he tore through the hunters,